Hello and welcome to the Mark Atwood Show, Adventures in a Meat Suit. This is my meat suit. I am Mark Atwood. I wanted to do a video today because it's been at least 8 days since I've been on YouTube with new content, and that's been very interesting for me because what have I done over Christmas? And I've had a few messages from people saying, where are you? Where's the new videos? Where's the new Abracadabra? So, you know, this video is really to say hello. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas. And yes, we've got some interesting times ahead. I wanted to share this image with you first because this kept going through my mind over Christmas. Before Enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After Enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. A Zen Buddhist proverb which has been ringing in my ears for 30 years since I first heard it. So the reason I've not done any new content in a week is because I decided that I wanted to just spend time with my children, and we did on Christmas Day, and we had a really good time, really relaxed, really happy, really good fun time. Then after Christmas, I started feeling like I was in limbo, and the limbo feeling was one of, I described it to someone the other day as like being in a no man's land. I didn't feel connected to anything, and time didn't really mean anything. So I thought I'd sit back and just let that play out and integrate these energies that happened from the, well, they've been building up all year, but the 21st of December was obviously a very big day. And if you missed that, I wanted to tell you about what happened to me on the 21st because it was pretty amazing. I went up to a place in Ireland called Carrickeel, and I went up early in the morning with my son because I wanted to see the sunrise, and I just wanted to be up there. It's an interesting place, Carrickeel. They call it the Tombs here, but I'm pretty sure that's the government doing revisionist history. It feels very magical. It is a very special place, and I thought, well, to go up there and we'll just have a look and see what happens. So these incredible things happen. So when we first arrived there, this group of people went past us in their cars and offered us a lift up, and I said, no, it's okay. We're walking. We want to walk, and it was very, very foggy and wet. And some other friends that had said they were going to join us there decided at the last minute, they said the weather's not very good, so we're not going to go up there first thing in the morning. But we carried on nonetheless, and we got to the top. And these guys who drove past us were stood on one of the tombs. I'm showing you this screenshot here of a video, which I'll play a bit of in a minute, which was me and JCK having a live YouTube there. It's had like nearly 30,000 views. And I saw these guys at the top. And one of them had a drum, and the other one was going around with this stuff that I'd not seen this stuff. This is lemon, citrus flavored liquid that I last saw in my Reiki training. I can't remember what it's called, but I knew it was like a spiritual thing. And I thought, hello, we found our tribe here at the top of this hill. I said hello to them. And then something beautiful happened. The guy that was kind of leading this group was obviously a shaman, and he went over to my son, and he saw his spirit animal. He had a conversation with him, and it was like an activation. And we put a kind of long story short, we ended up going inside one of these tombs, and my son was playing the drum brilliantly while we were having a shamanic journey, which was just extraordinary. And this was just after I'd had this chat with JC. So I'm just going to play a bit of this for you in case you missed it.
See this tomb?
Yeah.
I think that's too small. It's definitely too small for me.
Is it definitely a tomb? Is it a tomb for sure? Can you see my eyes?
Well, that's what they call them. I think they're magic chambers.
Yeah.
I think they're chambers where people do magic. See over there where I've just come from? I don't know if you can see it. I can hear the drums playing across the hill. It's absolutely gorgeous.
So I could hear the drums playing across the hill, and that's when I went across and had this incredible experience inside this tomb. And then we came outside of there, and then 3 of the guys that were there said, "Are you coming with us?" And I said, "Yeah, where are we going?" And they said, "Oh, there's a cave down there." Now, I've been up here a number of times, and I never knew about any caves. And we're at the top of quite a big hill. So we went and we found this cave, and it was like a really deep down. You had to climb down. It was raining. It was wet. It was a bit, it wasn't super easy to get into. And we got into it, and it was a huge cave, and it had. I felt the spirit of the Tuatha De Danann, which is the what you might call the fairies and stuff, the spirit in this country of these other creatures that I'm fully convinced that are just outside of our vision, because we're vibrating at a small frequency, at a very, very low bandwidth frequency, and that's why we can't see them anymore. But I felt them there. We did another shamanic journey in there. What was interesting is that there was an entrance to a deeper part that went into the cave, that went into the mountain, into the earth, that had been blocked off by this huge stone that was obviously, well, it wasn't a natural shape. It was like a square shape, and it was blocking it off. And I did get the feeling about the Vril while I was there, because the Vril are a real thing, and if you want to look into them, VRIL, or look up the Vril Society, you'll see the links with the SS and Hitler, and you'll see, if you want to see a really good picture, look up Salvador Dali and the Vril, and you'll see a picture of him holding one up. And these nasty little creatures live underground, and they basically take over human consciousness. They go in through the eye and they take you over. And it was weird, because I think the same day or the day after, Michael Jaco was on doing a video about the Vril, and I was like, this is interesting. And so the Vril, to me, explain why we've got so many psychopaths in charge of government and companies, and have had. I think they're all being replaced. But so that happened. We were down there, and that was another beautiful experience. And then we climbed out of the cave, and I was full of this incredible energy, and I started sprinting across the top of the hill. And it was really quite amusing, because the ground was really wet, but I was slipping as if I was about to fall over. Then somehow I didn't. And then that happened about 5 or 6 times. And then there were 4 other people coming up the hill, and one of them shouted, "Mark." And I went, "Hello." And I walked up to them, and one of them gave me a small angel, and one of them gave me a crystal, which I think I've got on me here somewhere. And yeah, here it is. It's beautiful crystal, which is supposed to be good for psychic abilities. And I said, "Who are you guys?" And they were like, "Oh, we've just seen you on YouTube with JC, so we thought we'd come up." And I was like, wow, I didn't think anybody lived near me that watched the YouTube channel. So to all of those people that came up, I neglected to take everybody's name and address. I think one was called Pog, if she's watching. Hello, Pog. But anyway, you're all beautiful people, and I really appreciate you coming up. And then what happened was some other friends that I didn't know were coming up. So suddenly we got this congregation at the top of this hill, and then there's some flute playing going on, there's some singing, and then we have this wonderful group kind of hug stroke prayer. And it was all so magical and so natural. It was a really beautiful example of how 5D living is going to be, or is. And then I said to my son quietly, I said, "Oh, pretty hungry now. Let's go and get something to eat." And then suddenly one of them said, "Hey, do you want to come back to ours for some food?" So we went back, and then we had this endless breakfast and a really good chat. And it was just an amazing day. And got back at about 3 p.m. and then went straight to sleep. We were both exhausted. So that was really the start of the week for me last week. And it put me into a kind of Zen state where chop wood and carry water. What does that mean? For me, it means that life really is simple. You know, the beauty of life comes from looking at a flower. The beauty of life comes from lighting a fire, having a conversation, standing on the grass, hugging a tree. All of these things that sound like hippy dippy shit are actually wonderful, because you're in the state of the present moment. And the other thing that's been happening to me, apart from, I made the list here, heart palpitations, restlessness, The other thing that's happened in the last week is that people have been saying that they've seen me in their dreams with my sword, because I have mentioned having seen myself with this big sword, which, I mean, if you watch the Abracadabra videos, that turns into a penis joke, but we can't really resist it. But it's very humbling when people say that they've seen you in their dreams, because there's the 3D ego side of us that hears things like this, and then you've got to integrate that in a non-ego way. And that's really been the story of my life personally, is that how, you know, my ego has been my biggest enemy. It's also given me a lot of confidence to do things, but it's also been my biggest enemy and caused me to do stupid things in my life. So that's been really, really interesting as well. So that's kind of like where I've been at in the last week. And I want to talk about a few other things in this video today. I want to talk about a message that I got this morning that was allegedly from General Flynn, not to me, but to somebody that I know. I want to talk about the fact that COVID has been proven to not exist in a number of places. I'm going to show you some of the places I've seen it. I'm going to give you an Abracadabra code update today as well. I want to talk about XRP cryptocurrency briefly, and then I want to talk about a couple of other things at the end. So the next thing I wanted to touch upon was this message I got this morning from somebody that I trust, who said that this message was from General Flynn. Now, when it comes to anything like this, you know, I do take everything like this with a pinch of salt. A huge pinch of salt, but it's interesting enough to share. So I'm just going to read it to you. Breaking news, it's happening at last. Message from General Flynn. December 29th, 12:01 a.m., government shutdown. 10 days of darkness. December the 29th plus 10 till January the 7th. The C-A cancelled, which that would be phenomenal news if that was true. And the middle letter is this. GA runoff, I don't actually know what that means. January the 6th, pain number 23. I don't know what that means. January the 6th to the 12th, day of Christmas, Epiphany, Western calendar, could be the best gift ever. January the 6th, POTUS call to DC, find out day. January the 6th, Electoral College stroke Pence. I do know about that. Pence, to my mind, has been a black hat from the beginning. That's why he was one of the people at George H.W. Bush's funeral that was given the envelope. If you've not seen that, you need to look it up, because that is one of the key pieces of proof to me that the good guys are in charge and are winning. Oh, and by the way, you know, I did wake up this morning and a lot of people are panicking. People in a lot of the circles that I hang out in have been panicking for various reasons and, you know, seeming to lose faith and blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to reiterate one thing. If the bad guys were in charge, we would already be dead. The second thing I'm going to say is, do you really think that Trump would have got this far draining the swamp and then just give in? No. And also, I'd highly urge you to go and see, go onto Michael Jaco's channel and look up the interview he did with 107 last week. It was the best interview I've seen with 107. And very, very clearly, one whose identity remains unknown. Some people think he's JFK Jr. I don't know. I do love listening to him talking about cars, though, I can tell you that much. And his sense of humor and his knowledge is just phenomenal. So Juan talks about the fact that what we need right now, for everybody panicking and thinking the White House is not in control, is we need the world to see how painful this could have been, right? And that, I totally agree with that. I'm afraid we're going to have to go through quite a lot more pain, and the day is darkest before the dawn. And this is really important to understand, because what we need as a race is to look back at this time and talk about it in the same way that we still talk about Pearl Harbor, 9/11, JFK being shot, World War II, World War I. We have to remember, this has to be etched into the consciousness of the whole human race in order for us to make damn sure that we never ever get taken over by crazy satanic pedophilic demons again. That's why we're going through this. And I agree with 107 on that 100%. So going back through this list, on January the 7th, Eastern Orthodox Christmas. What do you want for Christmas? Peace. You know, has anybody noticed that we've been in world peace now for 4 years? There are no wars raging at the moment. And that's the first time I think that's happened for my entire life. So, you know, that you can't deny that. January the 7th plus 10 days, it was January the 17th. 17th could be important because of the letter that it represents. And then it says January the 17th, D5 on lunar, and January the 19th, D7 on lunar. I must admit, I don't know what D5 or D7 means. If anybody does, please leave it in the comments. And then it says a day that will live in infamy. January the 19th, remember this day. January the 19th, Epiphany, Popcorn Day, Eastern Orthodox Epiphany, a sudden realization. 10 days of darkness, December 28th to 29th, through to January the 6th, 7th. 10 days of light, January the 7th through to the 17th, dark to light. Epiphany, January the 19th, the Great Awakening, January the 21st, from Epiphany to Epiphany. General Flynn said, quoted Jeremiah 1:19, they will find you, but they will fight you, but they will fail. For I am with you, and I will take care of you. I, the Lord, have spoken. So this is, you know, again, take this with a pinch of salt. Who knows, right? The fact is that we are in the middle of World War IV. Again, I have a playlist on my channel called World War IV. It was World War III until 107 said the other day, this is World War IV, because World War III was US versus the Soviet Union, which was really the US versus the cabal again. And that war was won. And we, you know, this is a long running war that we've been in on the 3D level. You know, Q was created in 1962, according to most sources I trust. So that means it's been going on 58 years at least. But this is also a spiritual war. This is the end of a spiritual war, and it's the biggest war in human history. And we are privileged to be here to witness it, but we're also part of it, okay? And what I mean part of it is because we are spirits having a human adventure. We are ghosts in meat suits. That's why this channel is called Adventures in a Meat Suit, because that's what this is all about. And we are part of this one consciousness. And so far, in all of our human lives, everybody that's alive that's watching this, and most of our ancestors, we've been held in a prison, in a trap. We've been hijacked by demonic entities, by just terrible, evil forces. And we, you know, I go back to Plato's allegory of the cave. I've mentioned it in other videos. If you've never heard of it, you've not seen it, go to YouTube, type in Plato's allegory of the cave and look for the clay stop motion version, because it's amazing. And it explains precisely the human condition that we've been in for so long that we are now coming out of. So moving along, I'm going to look at some news. Don't often do news stuff, but because I've been off for a week in terms of YouTube, I did want to share a couple of things. And one was, came out the other day. This is on the channel called Trumpet News on YouTube. Go and find that. And it's worth watching this. I'm not going to play it all to you because it's all in Ukrainian, and you know, you can go and watch it yourself. But Ukraine releases bombshell information on Biden today. Mirror this ASAP.
Именно из-за утечки информации о сегодняшней пресс-конференции именно на прошлой неделе было объявлено о наложении на меня санкций политиками из Министерства финансов. И факты освоения сотен тысяч долларов материально-технической помощи, направленных Украине государству, обратилось в два...
Trying to find a reference to Biden.
В банках Латвии и лично Николаю Злочевскому.
Yeah, it would take me ages to find the actual references to Biden. But this video, this press release released by the Ukrainians, proves without a shadow of a doubt that Joe Biden is as corrupt as it's possible to be. And he's finished, you know, even if that's not the real Biden, which I don't believe it is, the public has to see just how corrupt this guy and all of his associates really were, which includes the Obamas and the Clintons and the Bushes and all of those mass murdering, horrible, disgusting, demonic criminals whose crimes are so outrageous. it would turn even my collar. And I've been reading about them for years and years and years, ever since I first heard, I think it was Kathy O'Brien's testimony about being being hunted by George Bush and Bill Clinton in a helicopter with rifles. She at a human hunting party. I think I first heard that 15, 18 years ago. You know, these guys are unbelievable monsters, and they're going down. They're gone. In fact, they're gone. It's just the good guys have to bring the rest of us with them. And there's a reason for that. And I'm going to, towards the end of this video, I'll explain what I think that reason is. But in this next video I'm going to show you, this is Gemma O'Doherty. Gemma O'Doherty, you can find this on her website, gemmaodoherty.com. For those of you who've never heard of her, she's a very vociferous journalist based in Ireland who has been firmly and unbelievably standing up against incredible hatred in Ireland. And she's like a terrier, dog with a bone. She doesn't let go. And she's a divisive character in this country. But to me, she said some things that I think are questionable, but in the whole, she said incredible things and done incredible work to expose, firstly, the disgusting takedown of this country in particular, but she's also traveled around the world and spoken to other people where it's happening, because this is happening everywhere. It's not just Ireland. And in this video, I'm just going to play a clip where she basically did a freedom of information request with the HSE, which is the kind of health authority in Ireland. And listen to what she says.
Stream from here, it obviously got a huge amount of traction all around the country. And this morning, lo and behold, what arrived in our post, only this letter here from the HSE, which is proof of the answer that we knew that they would have to give. And that is that the virus, COVID-19, does not exist. If we dictate that, as science demands that we do, that viruses, in order to be deemed viruses, must be scientifically isolated in a laboratory and must adhere to the Cox postulates, which are a very stringent list of requirements in order to validate that a virus exists. Well, this virus does not adhere to any of them.
So, you know, Gemma's done amazing work. Go and find her website, go and have a look. You watch the whole video. She's not the only one. This has happened in the UK. Even the CDC website and the government website in the UK, you know, downgraded the virus back in March as something that was not considered to be particularly dangerous to human health. It certainly is not something that could justify all these lockdowns, businesses going out of business. The suicide rate is through the roof, and this has to come to an end soon, because the good guys are in control. If any of you are listening to this, please get to the end of this as soon as possible, because the suicide rate is unacceptable. And that is one of the biggest issues, I think, at the moment. And it's not being addressed at all. The hospitals are empty. The governments are lying to you. I don't know what to say to the people that still think this is real. It's beyond belief that they can't be asked looking into it. They freak out. They're proper twangers, or non-player characters, as my friends at Beyond the Veil have labeled them brilliantly. So go and have a look at Gemma's video. It's worth looking at all of her stuff. She's been an incredible champion for the human race over here in Ireland, and I'm, I'm just glad that people like Gemma exist in the world and are doing this stuff, because it takes incredible guts to do what she's doing. You know, and you might not agree with everything she says, but the guts to stand up against such incredible brainwashing is something I admire hugely. So another thing I wanted to show you quickly was this video that got sent to me earlier. This is called Walk with Catherine Austin Fitz, and this is on a YouTube channel called Truth Matters. I think that subscription rate is going to go up considerably. I joined it this morning. Just have a little listen to what she says here.
Creating very powerful technology, and that means we have to grow spiritually. We have to, you can't have this kind of advanced technology, managed by cavemen. And to a certain extent, that's what we're watching. We're giving very powerful weaponry and very powerful surveillance technology to people who are using it, behaving like cavemen.
And the last question is, do you think there's a spiritual dimension to this?
I think first and foremost, what we're dealing with is spiritual. You know, this is part of a 10,000-year-old war. And the outcome depends on our ability to spiritually evolve and grow up. So, you know, I tell everybody death is not the worst thing that can happen here. What can happen is you can lose your immortal soul. That's your danger. So stop worrying about death and start worrying about, you know, whether you're going to be free or not.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's good.
Well, I don't know about you, but I get the tingle when I listen to that. She's 100% right. And if you look down here, there's a link to Catherine's analysis. I'll click on that in a second. These guys have made a full-length documentary, and this is a clip, and this is, you know, this is only released on the 22nd of December, and you can get the full film will be at planetlockdownfilm.com. There's also an email list from them there, which I've just signed up to myself. I'm just going to have a look at Catherine's analysis here. That I'm looking forward to seeing, because this is the Sari report. This I speak a lot of truth here, and there's a lot of deep information here. So, go and have a look at that. Check that out. Now, something else that happened to me over the break was that I was introduced to the guys at Breaking the Veil. Breaking the Veil is, I've been aware of, Chris and Shree, their channel, this of theirs, Breaking the Inversion Spell, Return of the Jedi, on Beyond the Veil. Honestly, I watched it. It's 3.5 hours long. It's 3 hours 33 minutes, would you believe? And I sat down and watched the other night from the beginning, because I'd had an actual conversation with both of them the night before with JCK, and we just had an amazing conversation. I'd had a few too many whiskeys and was slurring a little bit, but we had an amazing conversation. Sometimes it takes a whiskey for me to have an amazing conversation. And then while I was watching it, I think JC woke up, or I don't know, because she's in Australia, she sent me a message and so I was just watching this, and then she started watching it and she started joining the chat. Whenever JC joins in the chat, everybody goes, JC. And then she suggested, well, we played Chris and Cherie a couple of my poems the night before, and then they played this, which was just mind-blowing.
Ascension is powered by the light of the flare. Scramble like rats to the ruins of your lairs. It's over, it's over. Save our children, we cry. Revealed, reviled. It's your soul's time to die. We see you.
Absolutely incredibly powerful stuff. As a matter of fact, I asked Mark if I could put that in a song, and he isn't quite giving me permission to do so.
Well, I did message Chris and say, yes, you can. Of course you can. So I want to talk about these poems just briefly, because when this lockdown happened, I've been writing poetry for all my life. But I kind of stopped. You know, you grow up and you kind of stop doing things like poetry, because it seems like a bit of a frivolous thing to do when you've got kids and a business and things like that. But this year, the poetry came back, and it came back with a vengeance. Now, I want to make it very, very clear. I don't make these poetry videos and put these things up because I see myself as some poet, some career poet. There's nothing to do with that. All of the poems that I've put up have come through me, through my spirit, delivered from wherever. And that's what they are. This particular one, We See You, is the best thing I think I've ever produced in my life. And it is a statement to these demons, right? We see you, we do see you, and you ain't getting away with this anymore, right? Because it's a statement. And the reason it's up on the internet is because if you listen to it and it resonates with you, we then, as one consciousness, are removing them, right? This is part of the war. It's not just a frivolous poem from some guy in a hat, some idiot in a kitchen. It is a message. And I just want to show you, because I know that some of you watch my channel don't necessarily know how to use the channel properly. So look, when you go to my channel, which is, just go to your channel here, you've got these things apart from videos as most people see it. You know, if you're watching this on a TV, sometimes it's hard to find these things, but, you know, just look under the playlists here and you'll see I've put these playlists here. I've got the Abracadabra code in a playlist. I've got some comedy sketches in a playlist, opinions, that's me talking to camera, me explaining stuff to my mum. Thanks to everybody that says nice things about my mum. It's been good for her and good for me, and also a lot of fun to do. I'm going to do more videos with her soon. I've done like 51 interviews. I can't believe I've done 51 interviews. But there's this playlist here, which is, I call it the World War IV poetry playlist. Okay, so all of the poems that I've written during this pandemic are all here, and you know, feel free to use them and share them, because they are all manifesting statements. They're not just poems. They are, if you read them, they're very powerful statements about where we already are, which is in the future to some of you, but to me, we're already there. And that's what I want you to remember. We're creating all of this, okay? Because we are the creators. And it's really important to remember that. And sometimes difficult to remember it when you're surrounded by so much fear and worry. For example, this morning, a load of people I know were getting concerned about XRP, the cryptocurrency. So I just want to make a quick statement about XRP. XRP is something that I have talked about in my video descriptions. It's a short-term potential cryptocurrency that could gain a huge amount of money. What I mean by that is that you can buy it for 24 cents and it could be worth $10,000 in a year. I personally think you'd be crazy not to have some, so that just in case that happens, because if it does happen, that's a life-changing amount of money. And a lot of people will say, well, you know, it's not a proper crypto, or I can't believe you're pushing crypto when crypto was created by the Satanists, blah, blah, blah. Look, money was created by the Satanists, right? The whole system we live in was created by these Kabbalistic, satanic sons of bitches. Money itself is not evil, you know? It's only the people that use it. It depends on how you use it. And I've got a piece of that particular crypto because I have enough knowledge to realize that that's quite a good bet. If you can buy something for 25 cents and it's worth $10,000 in a year, that's quite an interesting bet to me. And I'm a pragmatic person. So somebody left a comment on one of my videos of the saying, which side are you on? You're promoting crypto. To be honest, I'm disappointed. Well, you know, be as disappointed as you like. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm saying this is what I've done. And the reason I've done it is because it's a pragmatic thing to do. But you must take, if you're going to do it, take the time to do the research and understand how it works. It's not difficult. There's a video on my channel talking to my mum explaining crypto. For those of you that don't know anything about crypto, just go to my channel. I've put some good stuff in here. Cryptocurrency explained to my mum, right? If my mum can understand it, anybody can understand it. And I don't mean any disrespect to my mum. It's just that crypto, to my mum, is a completely foreign concept. So I explained it to her in order to help you explain it, to understand it. And then it's up to you. If you feel like, if that resonates, go and buy some crypto. If it doesn't, don't. But whatever you do, don't panic about XRP if you've got some and it's dropped in value, because it has dropped considerably today, because they're manipulating it, because they know what it's going to be worth. All right. It's the same as, you know, whenever you're getting worried about the vaccines and stuff, just go and have a look at the fact that the CEO of Pfizer resigned or sold 65% of the shares not long ago. Why you would only do that if you knew that company was going to tank, you know? So it's not a time for panicking. It's a time for chopping wood and carrying water. So there is an Abracadabra code 6 coming, and I'm going to, it's not ready yet, but I'm going to share with you some updates that I got from Juicy and Lucy. I'm going to read these out just so that you can see. And I put these next to General Flynn's Jeremiah quotes and talking about the Lord here, and that will be apparent why I've done that as I read through this. So if you watch the Abracadabra code, then you'll understand how this is written, why it's written this way, why I'm reading it this way. If you've never watched any of the Abracadabra videos, pause now, go and watch all of them. You'll lose 10, 11 hours of your life, but you'll gain a huge amount by going through it. The feedback we've had on these videos has been off the charts. I can't thank all of you enough that you've come on this journey with us. So I'm going to read these updates here that I've had over the last few days. So the non-entity that we caught years ago and other people have seen as well was only a part of the problem. There's a rule in the energy world that if you can correct everything in its full timeline or timelines in its entirety, reverse engineer the whole frequency back to point of origin, it actually reverses everything to full correction, i.e. like it never happened, which we will talk about in our next podcast. Basically, you write it down, you write down the timelines back to the point of origin, and it removes all the damage it has done, and you stack everything it's done behind it, so the entity can't come forward. It has no timeline, and it can't step backwards either, because its whole timeline is stacked behind it. It never happened either way. Can't step forward, it can't step backwards. That's the point from destruction. That's the code Juicy was given and what to do with it. Wait till part 6 when Juicy will describe it in more detail. When we're in there, Juicy starts describing everything to me and goes through all the permutations of what's happening, and it all carries on unfolding as he's talking through, narrating and permutating. It all unfolds around us on like a flower opening, or like a film being played, for me to all evolving around us with so much detail and depth, and everything makes much more sense with our lives, especially with putting everything back on point and securing that point. It's almost like everything was in safety mode, going through all the different timelines, keeping the original timeline safe. The original fire of the universe didn't happen. Move one forward, use that as a test, run on billions of different permutations of what could go wrong in all individual universes, and then record that from the third one along, which was shrunk so that nothing could actually go through from the practice runs and timelines. Then, when you put everything back, you've got all the worst case scenario timelines on the negative, and why and who and which you can put back on point, all the negative stuff that hasn't got a timeline, and all the stuff that would have been created on the negative timelines can be put behind the points so it can never happen. But we can remember it so it never happens again in the future. Now, I find this interesting how this relates to what I said earlier about 107, and also the thing that Catherine just said in that lockdown movie. These things all relate. They're using different language, because people describe things in different ways. But I know from the time that I've spent with Juicy and Lucy that they are definitely doing this stuff. It's in the Abracadabra code. It's an entity that hides underneath its name, non-entity. It's not even allowed to recognize itself. Otherwise, it destroys itself. It smothers everything, sucks the life out of it, and feeds on light. It used to sneak in on parallels and smother everything, control everything, create species to work for it, and destroy everything. Sounds familiar, right? It was a dark, horrible mass of energy. We caught one, named it, and destroyed it, and it can never happen again because we're all aware of it. That's the least of the problems. You've got to go through the different timelines of what it created and put all the stuff it has created behind its point of entry, and then reverse all the timelines back to that point so it can't go forward or backwards and doesn't exist anymore. We are left with the reminder of what was created in the physical realm. It doesn't have any power over us anymore. Kiss, kiss. That's why we're sharing it, to see if it resonates with anyone else. We've never met anyone else in our travels who've been hindered with different things. It's amazing how it's helping wake people up in so many different ways. She's talking about, this is Lucy talking about how people have responded back to the Abracadabra code videos that we've done, which has been extraordinary. And don't be thinking just because there's a couple of thousand of us that it doesn't make any difference, because it does, because we're part of unity consciousness. So it doesn't take millions of us. That's why the Bible talks about 144,000 people. It doesn't take 10 billion people to change the planet. It can be done with a small number. And it's also magical in the humor side of it. Hasn't got the goodly godly structure behind it. It's fluid and free flowing as well, and new as well. I mean, she's referring to the fact that we all get on those shows and just have this chaotic laughter whilst talking about this stuff, because I think that is part of the magic, and she's agreeing with that. Even the word God is 3D. It's got 3 letters in and ends in the D. The whole thing has been constructed by it to control. The 10 Commandments have been structured to control people, which has since changed to police control with the same 10 Commandments. Religion and police state belief is the same thing to control. God is masculine, so is Jesus. The whole thing is controlled by male entities. That word has been used for wars and destroying countries and populations. There is no positive behind that word whatsoever. It's pure negative. Now, yeah, that kind of statement can really annoy people who read the Bible and believe every word of it. And I've got nothing against anybody's beliefs at all. This channel is not about questioning or putting people down for beliefs. It's about exploring beliefs. You know, I've had people on this channel who are realists. I've had Christians on here. I've had Jehovah's Witnesses on here. And I don't put any of them down. And I'm not putting this down either, because, you know, this is a time of deeply trying to understand who we are and our power. And our power lies within. It's within here. It's in our hearts. And we all have this creative ability. And that's the big trick that has been played on us. We've been convinced that we're separate, we're meaningless, we're nothing, we have one life, that's it, it's all over. None of that's true. They've been soul harvesting us for a very, very long time. And some of us have been here many, many, many times. And it's now wake up time. And I want to leave on, I've said this in previous videos, but this is called, Q calls this the Great Awakening. It's not the tiny awakening, not the little awakening, not the slightly itsy bitsy awakening. It's the Great Awakening. And it's even for people that have been awake for a very long time, even people who've been talking about this stuff for years, it's going to be big for them too, because this is going to be biblical. It already is biblical if you look around. I mean, if you look at what happened in Nashville the other day with directed energy weapons on an RV, I mean, if you actually go and look at that, you know, this is some crazy stuff. We're in, and I think stuff is going to get crazier. I don't know if the stuff from General Flynn is all true. Like I said, I take it with a pinch of salt, but I certainly think there's truth within, and you know, the dates aren't really as important as as what's going to happen. And I know in my heart, and you know, I've taken a massive risk even starting this YouTube channel. I even had an email. I've had messages and emails off people going, they don't like the path I'm going down. It's a very dark path, and you know, I've lost we've talked about this before. I've lost Facebook friends, business friends. I've lost all sorts, but I've gained so much more already. You know, if the 5D or the above 5D, the Arcturians are in 11D, right? And apparently I'm an Arcturian. Who knew? I didn't know that until a few months ago, or maybe I did. You know, this is the thing. It's all about remembering who we are. In fact, Gareth Icke wrote a song about 8 years ago called "Remember Who You Are," and Gareth records his stuff in I think it's 432 hertz, the harmonic frequency. And I saw him play this at Wembley, because I saw David Icke at Wembley. I think it was in 2012. Can't remember the exact date, but there were about 8,000 people there, and it was a 10-hour day, and it was just mind-blowing day. And Gareth wrote that song, and I'm a big fan of Gareth Icke's. Go and check out his songs. You know, you don't have to agree with everything his dad says, but go and check out Gareth's music. He's brilliant. And I've got huge amount of gratitude to David Icke as well, because you know, he showed us the way in terms of how to stand up despite all the criticism. You know, despite people calling you mad and conspiracy theorist. Forget all of that. It's just noise. It's just noise, and it's the matrix throwing shit at you. But you are the power. You are the guru that you've been looking for. You should question everything, including everything I'm saying. That's really what this is all about. That's what this adventure in a meat suit is all about. And I want to say I love you all, and I really, really appreciate all the messages, all the support, all the people on PayPal and Patreon, and everybody else that support the PDFs or supported this channel in any way, or people who got the CBD balms. You know, you're all amazing people, and I'm unbelievably touched by many of the things that I get sent through. There are some people that have messaged me that I've not been able to respond to in the last few months. Some people that have known me from the past. I can only apologize to you. I'm on a mission. And if your message is not resonating or it's getting in the way of me doing that mission, I'm just going to ignore you till this is over, because this is more important. This is World War IV. And I may just be a bloke in a kitchen who writes poems, but I'm here and I'm doing my best. So lots of love to all of you, and I'll see you soon.